Hello and welcome to Stories with Maya Zama. I have with me today a much loved mummy, Shruti Nalkul. Hi, welcome, Shruti. Today we're going to talk about all things motherhood and about your birthing experience as well. What was the biggest shock of motherhood?
Biggest shock of motherhood.
Right now, you got pregnant in 2019,
Yeah.
and that's how we
Yeah, we connected.
got in touch
And
with
in
each other.
2020, Akira was born.
Yeah. So, um, first impression of you was okay, Nakul's wife. I remembered having interviewed him back when I was radio jockey.
Yeah. I don't want to be the another mother who's just blindly going in and then end up getting a C-section, because I even remember when I was in my early 20s, I had a little back accident. Trust me, before that, when I had a consultation in Chennai with another hospital, to even get through the secretary to go to the doctor was such a hassle, and they were just being too mean, too rude.
So, Shruti, it's not often that you get to hear celebrities share such an intimate part of their lives. And I'm sure one big reason why you guys shared about this is so that other people are aware of all these alternate modalities or.
My labor was longer, almost 17 hours of early labor, and then, like, by the time she was born,
Okay.
it it was so good.
Hmm.
It is something like I can't really tell you how it is until you experience it. Fever wasn't there, but she had mouth blisters. She couldn't eat, and 3 days constantly she was nursing. Very, very minimal food. She was not even drinking water because of the pain, and she was crying. Because when, you know, I remember, like, being hit, or, all those things, like, me and my brother, like, I don't blame my mother for it, but it was what she was bought into. And she didn't know.
Yeah.
She really didn't know. And my mother, poor thing, was handling so many things.
I can't even call it journalism. It's not. A lot of people actually thought that you gave birth in your own bathtub. Yeah.
And he tagged Nakul, and he said, your wife looks like a transgender. So he thought that's an insult and I'm going to feel bad or whatever. So all these YouTube channels started posting like, is Nakul's wife a transgender?
What? Hello and welcome to Stories with Maya Zama. I have with me today a much loved mummy, Shruti Nalkul. Hi, welcome, Shruti. Today we're going to talk about all things motherhood and about your birthing experience as well. I'm sure you've spoken about it many a times.
Yes.
Even with me on Instagram, Laila even all we have discussed, but I wanted to really make it a part of my new podcast also. That's why.
I would love to.
Yeah. So, Shruti, you are a chef, you are an influencer, you are a mommy blogger, you write about a lot of amazing mommy experiences. You're a celeb wife, you're Nakul's wife. Nakul raves about you and makes every woman jealous about how is this man so expressive about his wife and his life. So that way, yes, you have got a special place in people's heart. So because of him, by yourself, you have carved a name for yourself. Congratulations.
Thanks, Swati.
So first things first, what was the biggest shock of motherhood?
Biggest shock of motherhood, first, everybody tells it's the sleep. I wasn't worried about that, because the second I got pregnant, every single person is like, sleep now, ipo nalla tungu, because you won't get sleep after this. So that didn't come as a shocker for me. The shocker is how I'm with my first child, with Akira. I was thinking, oh my god, infancy is so hard, but actually toddler is harder. Um, and after the second child comes, you're thinking, okay, they will do all these milestones within 2 years or 3 years, but they're already learning from their older sibling, and they do it much earlier. So those things were extremely tough to handle and unexpected. And you're finding a way out for your first child, and then you have your second child. You feel this is going to work even with your second child, and then no.
Complete opposite.
Complete opposites. Similar, but also opposite in a way. So you have to come up with new things.
Yeah.
And by the time you figured out a pattern for the both of them, and then they throw a curveball at hitting another milestone. So I think finding out things like this and going with the process, though it may seem maddening at the moment, I feel it's also fun. And then finally you're like, yes, I found something. I found something new. And actually toddlers are very simple. We even I was under the impression that you need to give them a lot of toys, you need to do this, you need to entertain them. But the most shocking part is you don't need to keep entertaining them. You don't need to keep giving them extreme number of toys. You just need to be there with them and just let them be.
And even if you give them toys, they play with the glass tumblers and the other
Exactly. It
things.
doesn't matter no matter what you buy, they're entertained with the most simplest of the things that's available in your house. You even give them an empty cardboard, they're entertained with it.
Yeah.
So that was very shocking for me because much before I became a mother, I became an aunt to multiple children. So I've like helped my sisters and pampered my nieces and nephews. So I understand that, I was with them only for certain amount of period, not like how a mother is from day to night. I didn't understand when my sister told me like, he's such a sweetheart. That's because you're with him for only a couple of hours. When you become a mother and then you have your own child and you have to be with them 24/7, it will get overwhelming. Though I understand what my sister told me today.
Right.
And another biggest shock that not many mothers.
Shock மேல shock வந்து சொல்லு.
I think this was the biggest shock.
Yeah.
Probably a bit of a heartbreak also for me. I would say is how fast you lose friends.
Ah, yeah.
How fast you lose friends. No hard feelings. I mean, yes, it is a bit heartbreaking, yes. But it's just that we are in different headspace. We're in different zone completely, whether they have a child or not. When you have different value systems, when you're growing as a person, when your priorities are different and you can't be that friend you used to be before a child,
Yeah.
it is tough to see that, some people don't understand and it's okay. And I've made peace with it, though with a lot of initial pain.
Yeah.
I've made peace with it and I've set my priorities also straight and I think it's good. But
Okay.
this was the biggest shock for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Touched a soft spot there because I also lost a couple of friends. Because when I became a mom, they were not moms and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I value what I had with them.
Yeah.
I cherished what I shared with them. But it's just that.
Yeah. They were needed at that phase of our life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. Now, you got pregnant in 2019.
Yeah.
And that's how we
Yeah, we connected.
got in
And
touch
in
with each other.
2020, Akira was born.
Yeah. So, first impression of you was okay, Nakul's wife. I remembered having interviewed him back when I was radio jockey.
Yeah.
And then I was like, his wife getting in touch with me. What is this whole? Then our group, we were planning an event.
Correct.
Heart in the Tummy online version.
I think I got in touch with you because I loved your posts about menstrual cups.
Oh, okay.
And I reached out to you saying how good it was because I was already using menstrual cup for like 2 years before that and not many women knew it.
Okay. I don't remember that part though.
Yeah, and coming from a professional, see, me telling somebody saying use it, it's okay. It doesn't matter whether you're married or not married. It is still this. You can use it. And the brand that I was using also was a very inclusive cup. So it's like one size fits all.
Okay.
It was like that. So I was advocating a lot for it, and people are like, "What do you know? Who are you to tell?"
Okay.
And coming from a professional like you to talk about it, that made more sense. And when I shared that post, a lot more people were more invested and interested in it.
I didn't know.
So that's how I got in touch with you.
Okay. Okay, then I asked you to try the program, our conference, birth conference, and then you tried it. And then that's how we started talking to each other. And your birthing experience, that was quite an event. I think
Thanks to
the
you.
whole of, Tamil Nadu, or I guess even from North, and a lot of people reached out to me asking, who is this celeb couple trying different things. So you guys got viral, popular for the birth choices that you made.
So is this how it is supposed to be? Why are we supposed to be like this? So I had all these questions which I'd never had in me before.
Right.
And when I saw you post about it, I was like, okay, let me give it a try. Let me know what it is. My mother, her mother, Nakul's mother, everybody just went into it just like that. Just trusting blindly.
Yeah.
I don't blame them. That's what they knew. But I thought I'm not that. I want to do something right. I don't want to be the another mother who's just blindly going in and then end up getting a C-section, because I even remember when I was in my early 20s. I had a little back accident.
Okay.
So the orthopedic is like, if you're going to be like this and work like this, then you might not even have a child. Or some comment he just passed.
Okay.
So that itself like freaked me out. Not
Okay.
that I wanted to have a child immediately in
At
my
what
early
age? At
20s.
what age?
I was 22 maybe,
Oh, okay.
21, 22.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, why?
Hmm.
Why do you say that? I asked him. He's like, because you're so tall. You're so tall, you won't be able to give birth if you have back issues. That's
Okay.
something.
Okay.
It was just like anywhere I go, people are only trying to scare me, but they're not giving me a solution as of what I should do.
Hmm.
Okay, I won't do this, but then what should I do?
Hmm.
They didn't have an answer for it.
Right. Right.
So I wanted answers and I attended these classes.
Hmm.
And once I attended, and then when I told Nakul, who thankfully is such a open person, he's like open to learning new things. He's like,
Yeah.
what? Something is there like this? I didn't even know. Because his mother being a nurse, he was not scared of needles and doctors and syringes and all. Me, on the other hand, because I was admitted in a hospital as a child for like 10 days for like severe dengue.
Hmm.
And I also saw a child little younger than me. I myself was like 8 years old or something. And I saw a child much younger than me die. At that time, it was like rampant in the hospital. So I was nervous about hospitals. I've never liked hospitals.
Okay.
And I said, like, I don't want to do this. And
Okay.
Nakul was like, okay, this seems nice. As we were taking the classes, he was also there. He was listening to it. And then we had an option of either Birth Village or Sanctum. They're open to these things. I was more comfortable with Sanctum because it's in Hyderabad and it's in my native speaking place. So let's go. And then I had a consultation with Vijaya ma'am.
Hmm.
Trust me, before that, when I had a consultation in Chennai with another hospital, to even get through the secretary to go to the doctor was such a hassle, and they were just being too mean, too rude.
Hmm.
And the doctor spoke to me for hardly 3 minutes,
Hmm.
not even 3 minutes. Even before she could hear me out, she just asked me like, which month are you in? I said I'm like 28 weeks, 28 weeks or so, 27, 28 weeks. And what did your scan say? I said the baby is in breech right now, and this is what the scan said. Basic 30-second, I just like briefed her problem, right? She said, okay, what are you looking at?
Hmm.
I said, I'm looking at natural birthing ways, obviously.
Hmm.
She said, oh, okay. No. I think you should go somewhere else. We don't do all this here. She just like shunned me.
Okay.
It was just a 3-minute conversation, and Nakul and I are like, we, it's not like we're having a free consultation. We're paying you. We're giving,
Hmm.
asking you your time.
Customer.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was very dejected.
Right.
And when I spoke to other hospitals and when I was inquiring multiple hospitals because of the restrictions as well,
Hmm.
it was just like, oh, you're a celebrity's wife. No, okay, fine. We have this sweet room, that sweet room. I'm like, I'm not looking at this room and comfort and luxury. I'm talking about how my birth plan is going to be. How is the doctor open to these things? There was no answer to that.
Okay.
The only thing is, oh, you're tall,
Hmm.
you'll mostly have C-section. Oh, you're 27 weeks, your baby's breech, you'll have C-section. That's all they told me. And extremely dejected, extremely scared.
Hmm.
Because my mother, when she had me, I was the firstborn, instead of cutting her horizontally, they cut her vertically. Oh, the
That
C-section.
kind of C-section. Okay.
Yeah. So
Easy.
she had,
Easy.
yeah.
Oh,
And she had an extremely tough time healing after that.
okay.
And even though she had my brother 4 years later, she had to go for another C-section because she was not stitched up properly.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and
So you heard all these stories and you were
yeah,
freaking out anyway. Hmm.
I was freaking out. So after that, I got consultation with Vijaya ma'am.
Hmm.
It was supposed to happen at one time, and then the secretary called me and she said, it's going to be like about 20 minutes late. Is that okay? I said,
Hmm.
no worries. I'll still wait.
Hmm.
She came 20, 30 minutes later, and my consultation went for 45 minutes.
Hmm.
And you won't believe, just before that, she just had a delivery. She had a delivery and then she came. So I can't even imagine the amount of energy she had. And she gave me 45 minutes. So I explained everything. She understood everything. And then she's like, where's Nakul? Nakul was working out. So she's like, no, call him also. Call him also. He's also equally important. He should also know all this.
Hmm.
I want to, especially if you're planning to come here during COVID,
Right.
both the parents should be on board, should be on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he came and she only said one thing, which convinced Nakul, like, this is where we're going. You made the baby with love. That's how the baby should come to this world, with love. Nakul was floored. He said, You talk. He just spoke briefly for like 10-15 minutes. And before I could finish my consultation, he was already looking at places where we can stay, how we can go, where we I need to apply for e-pass. I'm like, Nakul, calm down. He's like, no, no, you're like 28 weeks now. She wants you to come little earlier because of the restrictions. So by 30 weeks itself will go. And we hadn't informed anybody about this except my mother and father, of course, because we were all staying together during COVID.
Okay.
And of course, my mother was like, how can you go without your mother? How will you go for your delivery? How will Nakul take care? I'm like, he's not a child. Nakul is like, I'm not a child. I can help. I will take care. Like, that is my duty. No, but without me, how will you do? They're so conditioned in such a way that,
Kids are always kids,
kids are always kids. And
even if they are about to have.
yeah.
Hmm.
I said, I am old enough to be married, to have a child, and you've been bugging me to have a child all these years. And finally, when I'm ready to have one, you're treating me like a child. And you're treating him also like a child, which is even worse. So don't do that. And my brother and my father were very, like, cool headed about it. And they're like, listen, it's okay. They can take care. Let them do what they're doing. It is their journey. Let them do it the way they want to. We informed people only after we went and stayed in Hyderabad. We
Okay.
reached there that day, only evening. We told that there was a lot of, like, what is wrong with you? Are you mad? இதுக்கு தான் சொல்லல. This is why we didn't tell you guys. But as a courtesy, telling you because, like, some people, if they were not having COVID, if they were staying close by, they wanted to come see me during pregnancy and all. So these things happened, and the whole birthing experience was amazing. It was, I would say, the best time Nakul and I had together, alone, without anybody. We had the 4 cats. With our 4 cats, yes. I can't leave them. I didn't want them. I couldn't put them in boarding. I didn't want to put them in boarding for 2 months.
Right.
Or cooped up in my mom's room in like in just like one room. I didn't want that to happen because we have dogs outside and they don't get along well with the cats. So Nakul and I were like, we'll take them and go. So the whole 2 months with us in the house, they were there. They were also my laboring partner. When I was also in very early labor, my cats were sleeping on my stomach, purring and, licking me. All that was happening. So that was very good. So I think our whole journey was something that was, I can never forget. This is something I can tell my children when they're older, and I hope they see this also.
Yeah.
And they also feel how this is how it should be. I did it the way I wanted to, uh, with Nakul right next to me and in the most calm, comforting environment. Even though with Akira, my labor was longer, almost 17 hours of early labor. And then, like, by the time she was born,
Okay.
it was so good. It is something like I can't really tell you how it is until you experience it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Amor also. With second pregnancy, we did the same thing. We went much earlier. This time, my mother did come because we wanted somebody to be with Akira and I'm in labor. And my brother was also there. I think that was the first time I was away from Akira. That one night I was away from Akira.
Oh.
I was so nervous about it. I was crying that, oh my God, I left her and I'm here.
Yeah.
But then I needed that space to, get into labor, that pre-labor and all of that. I was very nervous. And though my labor with Amor was shorter, it hit me like a truck.
Okay. Okay.
After that, it hit me like a truck, but then I recovered much earlier with both of them.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So, Shruti, it's not often that you get to hear celebrities share such an intimate part of their lives. And I'm sure one big reason why you guys shared about this is so that other people are aware of all these alternate modalities. Or these days, yeah, some of it is coming into mainstream itself, which is really good. And I also personally wish a lot of young moms get this kind of an experience. And even if it's not water birth, even if it's birthing on land, a beautiful, gentle, respectful care is something that we expect everyone to have. And the thing that you told about, others not being okay with your decision, that is classic autonomy at play. And it's very hard to make people understand this whole meaning of autonomy because it's part of sex ed. Consent, boundaries, and autonomy is like concepts that go together. And it's very hard to make people understand, but it's actually what you guys did. Your body, your baby, your pregnancy, your birthing experience, your decision. Yeah, which is something a lot of people can't do in our society, right? A lot of people are struggling with that, and family members' interference is just too much. Or from childhood itself, we are not raised in such a way that we are able to exert our autonomy.
Correct.
So I'm really proud of you guys for doing what you guys wanted to do, whatever it is, whatever outcome it may be, even if it's a C-section, it is going to be in my way. That is something I think people should be open about.
Correct. At the end of it, when we said okay to Sanctum, the first thing ma'am said is it's compulsory that you both attend Lama's class before you come birthing here. So even before we reached Hyderabad, we completed our Lama's class, where at the end of it, I'm like, okay, now I know what natural birthing is and what happens in it, and what, if not natural birthing, what are the other options? And if C-section happens, why C-section happens? So when I had all that knowledge, I'm like, okay, I will be convinced. Tomorrow I try and I'm not able to give birth naturally. I'm okay to go with my full happy heart for an elective C-section, if that is what it is meant to be.
Yeah.
So that fulfillment I had once we attended the Lamas class. It is only, I tell many people, it is only till you have the knowledge of it. How did you go blindly into it? No, I didn't go blindly into it. I knew what I was getting into. You feel it is, I'm blinded because you don't know what I know.
Yeah.
If you know what I know, you'd be like, oh my God, why did I not know this? How did I not know this? And which is why I've been extremely vocal, especially to young mothers, to know all this. You don't have to listen to me. You go attend the class, you go do your research, you go read up about it.
Yeah.
The issue is not many women have even the authority to go think for themselves. That is where the whole issue starts.
Yeah.
Me, I've been a rebel all my life.
That helps.
Yeah. Ever since I was a young, like people used to be like, you're a rebel without a cause. No, it's not without a cause. I didn't know how to name it as I was a child or a teenager. Today I know I was asserting my independence.
Yeah.
I was asserting the fact that I want to make my own decisions. I want to live by your decisions.
Yeah.
Good for you that you lived by your, elders or parents' decision. That was you. But don't expect me to be the same.
Yeah.
So I've always been the odd one out in my family for that. I'm glad I was that.
Good for you, Shruti.
Yeah.
Amazing, I would say. See, as a not as a podcast host, but as a mother, I would like my young girl to listen to somebody talk like this. Only then she will have that subconscious reference as to what it means to be autonomous in one's life.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure you want Akira to hear these kind of conversations.
Definitely.
Wherein women are just, it's not about C-sections at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's about, are you informed well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is what I say. When I talk to some mothers now who know they've attended the birthing class, and then they come and tell me like, I tried for a VBAC, or, I tried for natural birth, or some complication happened. But then I made peace. I went for a C-section. I am so happy. This is what we want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We don't want somebody feared and pushed into C-section because there is no time. There is, you've completed, today's your EDD. So you need to estimated due date, which is, so you need to you didn't have any contractions, so you should just go for a C-section. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be hurried.
That is the other thing. Lack of information will always disempower you. And good information with all the pros and cons will always empower you.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that is what I felt at the end of the day. I'm not saying I've always been this empowered, taking my own decisions all my life. I've had extremely weak boundaries. Some days my boundaries get same thing even today. Some days my boundaries get tested even today. And the child in me freezes sometimes, or lashes out sometimes when my boundaries are tested. And I'm still working on it and trying to, say no. Saying no was the hardest thing ever for me. To from being like a people pleaser to almost being like a mother goose to my friends, or my siblings or anything, being the elder daughter. I've come a long way to say no, even though it hurts the other person. Some people used to be like, how can you say no? You were not like this. You're being so selfish. Then you wanting me to do according to you, aren't you being selfish? If it's okay you being selfish, what is wrong in me
இல்ல
being selfish? Yeah.
நம்மளுக்கு வந்தாதான்
Yeah.
அவங்களுக்கு வந்தா
Chakali chutney. Yeah. So அதுதான் same thing. And I am happy. In the end, I am happy. I didn't go saying எனக்கு water birth da veno. This is an option. And then in Lama's class, when I knew that you can birth squatting, why lying down and birthing is comfortable for the doctors and the nurses, but not for the mother. Not many people know it, and I like learned it in the class. And when I knew it, you should look up history. Why women were birthing lying down with their legs up like you see in movies. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. I'm not going to say it. I want you guys to go see it.
Yeah. So because of this wonderful birthing experience, I'm sure you would have had a pretty smooth start to postpartum. How was your postpartum?
Where Akira was born like post midnight.
Okay.
So by the time obviously the golden hour is feeding her skin to skin, and the knuckle had her skin to skin. I had like very minimal tear.
Okay.
I had 2 stitches. So while that was happening, only like some 2-3 hours later, we called my parents, my brother. We video called them, obviously. And when I called my sister, she was like, "You gave birth. You don't even look like you gave birth. You look like you just came from the spa." I was like, "No, I gave birth, like, I'm nursing her and all of that." That was the kind of, calm I felt. There was a rush of emotions. And then there was such a release of oxytocin that I was so happy. I was just calm. It was silent. It was the dead of the night. I had nobody disturb me. I didn't have 10 people coming in and telling me things. I just had like 2 people there helping me if I needed help with breastfeeding. And also because I already attended the breastfeeding class, it's like I just took Akira here and she just latched on. So it's like she knew what I was doing. And another wonderful part is when she was skin to skin on me, they actually gave her skin to skin on me when they were stitching me up. And that was the first time in my life when I'm around a doctor, a midwife, and they're telling me, okay, this is going to hurt a bit. This is what we are going to do. Vijay ma'am was running me through everything. We are going to touch you now. We are going to give you an injection and then stitch you up. So I was prepared for it. I was aware and prepared for it. And even when they gave me the injection, me being the person who hates injections, I was like, oh, this, that, and like screaming. Akira was just looking at me like this. And she was silent. She was dead silent. And she's just like looking at me. And me looking at her, I also became quiet.
Oh,
I also became quiet.
okay.
And she didn't cry because I was screaming. She was only observing.
Okay.
It's like she knew that if she's calm, I will also be calm.
Wow.
And then like the latching and everything happened, and
Right.
it was just too good.
Okay. What about actual postpartum? After you got back home, the initial days of breastfeeding, after that, did you go through any
15
issue?
with Akira, I had no issues. I had absolutely no issues. 15 days after birth, in the car again with the cats, we traveled from Hyderabad to Chennai. With Amor, like I said, they throw you curveball. Yeah. My breastfeeding journey till about 6 months was great with him. I had no issues. He had proper weight gain, proper latching. I had no pain, nothing. Then when he was actually ready for solids by 5.5 months itself. He was sitting up nicely for like over a minute. So I thought, okay, why not? Like, let's introduce at 5.5 because he seems ready.
Okay.
With Akira at 6 months only we started. So he's eating, and then I thought, okay, he's just usual baby-led weaning, how they smell, touch and lick, all that was happening. And by 7.5 months, I realized I'm getting pain while nursing. He's not chewing properly.
Okay.
He's just like swallowing it, and he's in pain when he's like eating food. And I said, okay, something is wrong. And then I immediately called a pediatric dentist, Shifa, and she said, okay, let's take him for an assessment. Took him, he had a lip and a tongue tie. I started getting milk blebs, which wasn't draining. It was painful.
Okay.
I had to pump for a bit to relieve my breast tenderness. So all that happened. So I'm like, how did this, like, at 6 months, kapro, like, how did I get such a latch issue?
Yeah.
thank God I knew about lip and tongue ties. Many people think that it doesn't exist. No, it's not because of that. But you won't believe when I got the procedure done for Amor, it was just a 5-minute procedure. They gave him to me immediately after that, and I instantly nursed him. Like, I could instantly feel
No pain.
no pain.
Okay.
No pain. Like, I don't know how to tell you, women, it shouldn't pain during breastfeeding. Really, like, they think everybody
And for someone who has had painless breastfeeding for the first one, obviously the second one,
it felt,
something else.
yeah, correct. And many people have even told me, like, see, pain during feeding and all is normal. Pain for motherhood is normal. You should bear with the pain. This was all like told to me when I was pregnant with my first itself. And I said, thank God I didn't, because I started getting full in my underarms. I freaked out when I got in my underarms, and that's because of the milk.
Yeah.
We don't know that milk ducts go up till the underarms. It was something new even for me. Like, look at me, like, so much I knew about breastfeeding, but only in my second pregnancy, I knew that milk ducts can go up to your underarms and you can get like swellings over there. That was really something that was tough 3 months for me.
Right. How was it breastfeeding both the kids at the same time? Because you used to post a lot about tandem feeding during that time. So how was your own Shivagami Devi experience?
I never thought of it. Oh my God. Yes. Oh, wow. That was something that was very beautiful. Seeing Akira when she's also like nursing one side, and then she's also aware that her brother is nursing the other side. The first 2 months was initially, I was very cautious and scared because he's such a tiny baby. And then like that's when I realized how big Akira is. Like, oh my God, why is she so big? I think he's so tiny. So that I was very nervous at start.
Right.
As he was 3 months old and little like konja kaluthu nikkudhu and all of that, they had their cute interactions.
Right.
And I'll be like, oh, so cute. And all the postpartum, whatever overwhelming feeling that I had, the postpartum blues that I had, which is very normal, by the way, to have postpartum blues. No matter what birth you have, it is quite normal. But when you talk about it and when you acknowledge that yes, you have it, I think that really helps. And a lot of breastfeeding really helped me to connect with my children, for the siblings to be connected with each other. And their immunity was really good. Touch wood.
Right.
With Akira, I think the first fever she ever got was when she was 2 years old. She didn't have a fever till then. Completely, breastfed. And of course, with solids, I'm saying. She because she started going to school, from her only Amor got at that young age.
Right.
And because I was breastfeeding the both of them, I could sleep a little better because I could lie down and breastfeed. With Akira, it took me like a couple of months to be confident enough to lie down and breastfeed. With Amor, from day one, I was lying down and breastfeeding him. And it was actually better. In fact, Amor, when he was born, ma'am gave him to me. I was so much in a shock. She's like, do you want to hold your baby? Do you want to hold your baby? I'm like, what? What? And then she like caught him and then she gave him to me on my chest. He was on my chest. The next second, he just turned to latch.
Oh, okay.
The next second, he just like turned to latch, and it was something so instinctual that we only hear about. And I saw it in person, and it was very beautiful. So him, that breastfeeding moment was really something that helped me through their sickness also. And the sickness didn't last like
Too long. Okay.
too long. And even if they had like a runny nose or anything, it is not something that is like really affecting their day-to-day basis, and they were active, they were eating, they were doing their things. In fact, Akira is like 4.5 almost now. And last month when she had mouth blisters because of high fever, she had high fever for one night and I was nursing her. The next morning she became fine.
Okay.
Fever wasn't there, but she had mouth blisters. She couldn't eat. And 3 days constantly she was nursing. Very, very minimal food. She was not even drinking water because of the pain and she was crying. But after 3 days she became fine.
Right.
But her peers who had the same symptoms, they had weaned off or they were not on breast milk. They took much longer to recover.
Right. So you start observing these things
Yeah.
when you're breastfeeding.
Subtle things that we don't even see. I started observing these things, like you can see the difference between a breastfed baby and a weaned off baby or a formula fed baby. Not that formula is bad. some women also feel bad and get triggered when I post about these things, and I want to tell them this: it is not your fault that you didn't know.
Yeah.
And for some mothers, it is just sad that they're not able to
Work out.
yeah, they're not able to produce, and it's okay.
Hmm.
It's okay to give at those moments, but try.
Hmm.
If you're not able to, if you have a latch issue, if you have pain,
Hmm.
go try with a good lactation consultant, and don't stop just because one person didn't give you a favorable response.
Hmm.
You can take 2-3 consultations, you can reach out to people.
Yeah.
There are a lot more resources available right now.
Yeah.
So you tried. And for a lot of preterm babies also, I've seen that, it is not so easy to breastfeed. So
Yeah.
that time when you're giving formula, and that's okay. It's really okay.
Always try to get back to breastfeeding. Yeah. If there is good amount of support and resources, correct, help, then yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And night feeds வந்துட்டு வீண் பண்ணி ஆல்மோஸ்ட் 6 months இல்ல ஃபெப்
Hmm.
அப்பவே வந்து நான் நைட் ஃபீட்ஸ் வந்து வீண் பண்ணிட்டேன் ஜென்டலா. தட் வாஸ் த பிக்கெஸ்ட் டாஸ்க் ஃபார் மீ. இல்லைன்னா தூங்க முடியாதுடா. அண்ட் இவனுக்கு வந்து ஃபீட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். ஹீ இஸ் ஹேவிங் ஸ்லீப் ரிக்ரெஷன் திஸ் தட் அண்ட் ஆல். 45 minutes ஹீல் பி லைக் ஆன் த பூப். அண்ட் தென் ஐம் லைக் அப்பா அப்படின்னு திரும்புவேன். இவ எந்திரிச்சு அழுவா எனக்கும் வேணும் அப்படின்னு. அண்ட் தென் ஐம் டர்னிங் பிகாஸ் ஐ டோன்ட் வாண்ட் ஹர் வேக்கிங் ஹிம் பை கிரைங். ஸோ ஐம் டர்னிங் திஸ் சைட் அண்ட் ஃபீடிங். இவளுக்கு முடிச்சுட்டு இப்படி இருப்பேன். அண்ட் தென் அகைன் ஹீல் வேக் அப். ஐம் லைக் டே மாத்தி மாத்தி பண்றேன். நான் எப்படா தூங்குவேன்?
Speaking of 4 years plus, um, it's not every day that you get to hear people breastfeeding for a long time, especially beyond 2 years. WHO insists for 2 years, but then there is also a mention of it can go beyond if the mother and child are in it. Yeah. So 4 plus years, no? 4 years.
It'll be 4 years and 4 months.
Okay. And she's weaned off now?
So it's been a month since she last had.
Uh-huh.
So I'm thinking she's finally weaned off.
Okay.
There used to be a time where I used to think that Akira, when is she even going to wean off? Is she going to wean off?
Yeah.
But today, when it's been a month,
Mm.
I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it.
Mm.
I am glad, but also I'm sad.
Mm.
And then I'm again glad, and then I'm like, and then Amor comes and reminds me, like, wait, I'm still here for the both of this together.
Right. Very bittersweet. No?
Yeah, very, very bittersweet.
Mm.
So that is that. And I'm just glad that I've had the luxury
Mm.
to breastfeed for such a long time.
Mm.
And honestly, for me, it wasn't such a unusual thing because I've heard stories of my mother nursing me till about 3.5.
Oh, okay.
My brother and I have a 4-year gap.
Hmm.
So when she was pregnant, around her second trimester or something, I sort of weaned off, is what she said. And once my brother was born, I saw him feeding, and then I started asking again.
Oh.
So I was like 4 years, and then I saw him feed, and I asked again after I think about 4-5 months or so. I fed along with him for like I think a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two, and then I also sort of weaned off because I was going full time.
Right. Okay.
So that wasn't new to me. And my aunt about it repeats. Yeah. It still repeats. So it wasn't a very unusual thing. And my mother also used to say breastfeeding is much better. In fact, she even told me a story where the day when I was born, the other mother in the next room wasn't lactating enough, and her baby was crying. And her mother, who's had 7 children, she went and told the other lady's mother,
Okay.
saying, my daughter has extra, either she's having excess supply.
Okay.
I don't mind giving your grandchild. I will tell my daughter to feed. Abhi solte, she got the child and she woke my mother up saying, she's like, adukulla she woke up. No. And the பொண்ணுக்கு பாவம், she's not getting milk. Why don't you just nurse? No.
Okay.
So later my mother fed that baby also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've heard stories like this. So it was very normal for me. And my mother was a working woman. 6 months after I was born, she started work.
அந்த காலத்துல breast milk donation எல்லாம் பண்ணிருக்காங்க.
Amma. And mind you, 34 years back. So when she worked she found a house close to her workplace, and she used to work, come during lunchtime, nurse me again, have lunch with me, go back to work, and again, evening she used to come back. She had a government job, so it was just like 9 to 5, and she could like come back on time, and it was very close by. So that's how she prolonged the breastfeeding. And her older sister had her second child, same as like me. We are just like 3 months apart. So my perima was also lactating at that time.
Okay.
So my perima used to nurse when my mother had to go out, and my mother used to nurse when my perima was,
Okay.
out, and she was
Nursing.
we're nursing my cousin sister.
Right.
So we've been like that, and even
நிறைய பால் குடிச்சு வளர்ந்த பரம்பரை.
so even once when my cousin sister couldn't come for a family function, and her daughter, who again, like, history repeat itself, Amor and her daughter, her second daughter, are just like 3 months apart, same 3 or 4 months apart. So she was also crying, and she wanted to nap. And then I immediately nursed her and she slept off.
Wow.
So we've done like that.
Right. Amazing, yeah. Okay. Do you have anything to tell long-term breastfeeding mothers, extended breastfeeding people?
Don't care about what other people say. They will have their opinions, and find a good pediatrician who supports breastfeeding, because it's just absolutely sad that many doctors dismiss breastfeeding beyond 1 year old, because there are a lot more researches, lot more studies which shows, like you said, WHO itself recommends feeding till at least 2 years old. So there are a lot more benefits, and I see those benefits in person. Like, I'm telling you, Akira is like 4.5 years old and Amor is 2.5 years old. The kind of comfort they get in it, nobody else can give that to your child. Whatever said and done, even if the parents are playing an equal role in taking care of the child, nothing can replace a mother.
Yeah.
It is the hard truth of life.
Yeah.
You will and always will be the primary caregiver. Even if you're pumping, it's you who has to pump.
Yeah.
Men don't have that.
Can't do that part alone.
Yeah. That is the only thing they can't do.
Yeah.
And the max they can do is try to pacify the child and be comforting with them. But that connection
Yeah.
they get while they have the breast milk is something they cannot get anywhere else.
So, yeah.
I'm not against them giving even like feeding bottle along kuda vandadu. I didn't give for many reasons. That is me. But I want them to do what works best for them.
Right.
Because like I said, I had the luxury to stay at home and be with them and take them with me wherever I went. And not all women have that luxury.
Yeah.
So do
Whatever they can with the best of their.
yeah, do what works best for you and what
Yeah.
makes you happy and what makes your child happy.
Yeah. Now, moving a little away from breastfeeding, you are very open about gentle parenting. And I'm sure you and Nakul are trying your best to parent very young children, two very young children. It's very different when one is 5, 6 and the other one is 1. But Amor and Akira are very close in age. So how is the gentle parenting experience going on? I am trying to be gentle. My child is not gentle.
Some days are like that. But we read so many instances in book or in Instagram. There's so many materials available. நிறைய பேர் வந்து they just see like, how will this work? ரெண்டு அடி கொடுத்தாதான் வந்து வேலை செய்யும். Didn't you all do it? I'm telling you it works. With patience and with consistency, it works. If you're calling my way of parenting as gentle parenting, and then what is the other way of parenting called? Is it mental parenting or rude parenting? This is how parenting should be. We should take the gentle off and say, this is exactly how parenting should be. Why did we as a society think that being rude, not giving love, or hitting or shaming the child is going to do good for them? Very few children and adults thrive on negative
Reinforcements.
reinforcements. Like, sometimes
They don't thrive. They don't thrive. Let's just, call a spade a spade. They don't.
That's actually true.
Yeah. I mean, they think they are thriving. That is a fact.
They're not.
Actually, they think like, okay, I'm okay because I was hit. They are okay in spite of being hit.
Correct.
Right. Somehow they became okay. That doesn't mean it will be okay for everybody.
But really ask yourself your triggers, your angers, because
That's the thing, no, Shruti, they are not aware about themselves. No? So they are not even able to ask those questions to themselves.
And they are so conditioned to think that this is what is right, that they're not even open and willing to look at the other side.
Yeah. There's one more thing, Shruti. To think that hitting a child is okay itself is a sign that the trauma has passed on.
Exactly.
Right. Hitting is okay. Now, how can you think hitting is okay?
Yeah. Because when, I remember like being hit or, all those things, like me and my brother, like I don't blame my mother for it, but it was what she was bought into. And she didn't know.
Yeah.
She really didn't know. And my mother, poor thing, was handling so many things.
Yeah.
She started working at a very young age. She was given a lot of responsibilities that she was not meant to handle at that age. And then she's working, and then she's waking up, sending us to school,
Yeah.
packing our lunch, um, making breakfast, lunch, snack, and then going to work, and then coming back,
Yeah.
and then
Don't have the resources that we have today as well.
exactly. So
Mm.
I, as a mother, I empathize with her a lot, and I feel so bad for her that she had to go through it.
Yeah.
But as a daughter also, sometimes the anger comes. Why couldn't you do this? But then I tell my mother also, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I've forgiven because I am a mother today. I've forgiven, but I don't want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I tell her at this age also, it's okay, Amma. You don't have to do these things. You can say no. Why are you giving in to all these other things that people are making you to do, which you're not comfortable in doing? So our mothers had, even though they were strong, independent, working, not working, they didn't have a lot of courage to say no,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it meant that they were bad, they were vile, they were not being a good mother, they were not being a good daughter-in-law. Stop being a good mother, daughter-in-law, daughter, wife, aunt, etc. Start being you.
Yeah.
Be good to yourself. And that is the biggest thing that I have learned.
That's my next question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me.
Me time.
Huh.
Okay, because you're not only being a mother, you're also taking up a lot of collaborations. A lot of your own projects are happening side by side. You have to make money. You have to pay the bills. Yeah. So how important is me time for you? Number one. Number two, is there anything that is non-negotiable for you? This thing I cannot stop doing. This is my self-care activity.
First I will say is, till a certain age, I've decided it is a thing that I am okay with. Both Nakul and I are like, we are going to, majorly me, I want to, since I have, like I said, the luxury to uh, have my work around my children.
Okay.
I am not in a conventional office job where 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 I should be in a workspace. I can work at my comfort and at my pace. So I keep all my work during the time when they're in school.
Right.
And when there are days where I can't avoid it, I have my mother, sometimes my sister, and
You take help.
yeah, I take help.
Okay.
I take help. Nakul will do
There are a lot of women who feel guilty
to even take help.
Yeah.
Exactly my point. I was just coming to that. That I used to also, starting with Akira, I used to feel like I shouldn't ask for help. Then what mother am I if I can't even do this?
Yeah.
Over time, I realized that was so detrimental to me emotionally, mentally, physically. I realized I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I will take help. I will ask for help. It doesn't make me a weaker person. It doesn't make me a bad mother.
Yeah.
It makes me actually a good mother. We all say, no, I will die for my child. I will do this for my child. But will you take care of yourself for your child? If you don't take care of yourself and your needs, who is going to do it for you, and who's going to take care of your child after that? So this is why, this is my one thing I'm not going to give up on. I want help. I will take help. And second thing is my sleep. Because sometimes of night breastfeeding, amor, and sleep regression or sickness, that lack of sleep will sort of pile on. And then that one day you're so dead tired, I will drop everything. I will tell Nakul, take them away and sleep for good 4-5 hours.
Right.
So that is one thing that I try not to compromise on.
Okay.
And of course, taking care of myself in small, small ways. Even though I might not be able to have the physical and mental, emotional still to work out full time, I want to take care of myself in the way I eat, how much I eat, what I eat. Mindful eating is something I don't want to give up on, because I've also been on the overweight side when I was in my, I would say, mid-20s.
Okay.
Early 20s and teenage and mid-20s, and a lot of junk food and constant.
And you were making pastries for a living.
No, you will be shocked. You will be shocked when you start doing that for a living. You don't want to eat sweets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but not sleeping on time, eating whatever is there available at untime. It takes a toll on you. Physically takes a toll on you. And then I realized I want to do this for
Okay,
myself and my children. So I don't want to give up on that. And the biggest advantage for me is I have somebody to support me. Some days, even like recently when I was about to go for a shoot, I was getting late and I had to travel really far. So I thought, you know what, I'll just have some nuts. It'll fill me up. Even if it's little, it'll fill me up, and I'll have some tea and I'll run. I was getting ready. I'm coming out, and Nakul has already made breakfast. He's made like a toast, avocado, eggs, and all in 10 minutes. And
Okay.
it is not something that I asked him. It is something that he just did. He's like, you're going too far. By the time you come back, it'll be too late. Don't eat outside. You eat and you go. So to have a partner like that who understands and also helps you in taking care of yourself is something that I'm really grateful for.
That is my next question actually. About Nakul. Yeah. So we all know the kind of sweetheart he is. Okay. Tell us how it is for you guys to navigate life around two very small children, and also something that you really adore about him, and also something that you're very irritated with.
Nakul is, I met him when I was almost 21, and he was 26, 27 that time. So I've seen Nakul from his late 20s till now he's like 40. It's it's different. There have been different versions of him. There's been different versions of me. And we've every but one thing that was constant in every Nakul that I've seen is how he always roots for me, how he always shows how much he loves me, even in the most subtle things. How he's encouraging me to grow in certain things, even though I might hate it or not even try to attempt it. He will push me. He will not give up on me. He might say it with love. He might say it with anger after a point of time, and then he'll be like, you know what? Forget it. He will say, forget it. And then again after a week, he'll be like, try no. So I love that he's persistent, he's expressive. Um, he's these are the things that, hasn't changed, though, like there are different versions of him. And the fact that he's open to learning, and the fact that he forgives. Even if you even if he makes a mistake, he owns up to it and he's ready to come and say sorry. Sometimes even me, because of the anger or the Leo ego or whatever you call it, or even the fact that I realized off late, just very recently I realized I don't want to go apologize, because I've been made to apologize for things I was not even wrong about. So it is very hard for me to say sorry sometimes, but I do try and go say sorry. My way of saying sorry is also like in a very different way, like, here I made something nice for you. Going through a man's stomach is through their, going through a man's heart is through their stomach. No?
Yeah.
So, like that, I show, but I'm also learning to say more of sorry
Right.
and all of that. So, he owns up to his mistake. Sometimes I'll be like, Vidu, paravala. He'll be like, no, 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 I did this wrong. I have to go apologize to that person. So, he owns up to it, and I love that. He does things sometimes without even being asked, which many women know how hard it is to get men to do.
Work done from men. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, there was a phase where both of us did things that we didn't know were wrong and were like toxic, and we both understood and grew out of it and grew together. That is something that I love.
Right.
I love that, I'm not a competition, or like, I'm older than you, I am bigger than you. You should be like this. You should listen to me. It wasn't like that.
Right.
It was always like, you should also be like this. Simplest things. I'm not a very gadget person. My phone is working. I'm ready to use it till it dies. But he loves gadgets, this, that, and all. He'll go buy a new phone, and then he'll be like, why are you having the old phone? You also buy the new phone. Nana vechirkeno, new ade vechiko.
Right.
So he is, even in those minute things, he will be like that.
Right.
And I don't see many men like that. I've had experiences with friends who are men, and even like, previous relationship and all of that. They are not like that.
Right.
Not all of them are like that. So the space to let me grow and let me figure out things.
Let you be.
Yeah, just let me be was just something that I was really like happy about.
Yeah. Irritation.
Irritation, his memory. It's very
That I
irritating.
think is a general
Mentoring is it's very annoying. I'm not telling, okay, yeah, fine, it's me. I am like that. I remember dates. I can't forget it. It's not something that I want to know. I just listen something. It's just like when memory in my head, it doesn't go. Dates and all, leave the dates. I'll be like, Rakul, tomorrow we're doing this, we're doing that, we are going here, we go. Ah, okay. And then in the morning, like, okay, come, what? எங்க போறோம்? Like, I told you yesterday. So he's so like, doing so many things and he's reading or learning so many things. He's so preoccupied sometimes that he'll forget.
Right.
And then he'll panic. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, calm down.
Right.
So that was very annoying.
Okay.
And sometimes he will be too humble, extremely humble, and be like, take a compliment. It is okay. You are amazing. Acknowledge it. You don't have to, like, no, I am not like that. It's okay. Abdillah Vanda, you don't have to say, take it. You do shine, take it. So that I'll be like very annoyed. Don't put yourself down. Don't say this. So that is one thing.
அவ்வளவுதான். இஸ் நைஸ் கை. அவ்வளவுதான்.
ஆமா. இதுக்கு மேல வந்து ஒண்ணுமே இல்ல.
Yeah. Now, coming back to that birthing experience, okay? Last question.
Yeah.
Though you guys were very open about this birthing experience and stuff, a lot of people, because of um, social media, because of the wrong kind of reporting or the wrong kind of journalism, I can't even call it journalism. It's not. A lot of people actually thought that you gave birth in your own bathtub. Yeah. A lot of youngsters, they like you guys, they're watching you guys. I see a lot of comments that, I need to be like, or I need a husband like Nakul. We need to be a couple like Shruti and Nakul. They're so expressive about each other. And it's not something that you show at one place and then somewhere else you're different. Everywhere there's a lot of consistency in both of you guys. So considering the bathtub example, okay, bathroom example, at bathroom she gave birth in the bathtub. That example is also there. On the other hand, this good example is also there. What would you tell young people that are watching, these kind of shows or generally on social media, how to take information from social media, what to believe, what not to believe?
Firstly, I would say clean up the pages that you follow. Be mindful of the pages that you follow. Because everyone does it. Even I do it sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just wake up and I'm just like scrolling through and all that. Be mindful. Why I'm saying is what you see the first thing in the morning. If you're going to constantly keep seeing meme pages, or I'm not saying memes are not funny. I enjoy memes, good memes, not something that like trashes somebody and like makes fun of them. But there are
Clean entertainment.
clean entertainment is always something that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
So unfollow those pages. Don't encourage those pages. And don't just read the headline, or some of them don't even read the caption for God's sake. So read properly. Understand what it is. Don't just conclude something just by reading a headline. Coming from a person who did journalism, okay? So I am telling you, you need to go in depth. You just can't conclude that, oh, you know what this person said. Like they just cut reels and shorts, the bits and pieces. Like everyone is just going through things, like they want short content because they don't have the patience and the energy to sit and go through things. If you want real information, if you want the full information, then sit and go through the whole thing. Headlines are just clickbaits. Trust me, they're just clickbaits. Even the videos that you see on YouTube or anything, we've also been subjected to such things. So I will give you an example. Because people understand through examples, I'm giving this. There was this one guy who sent a mean comment to me.
Okay.
Because I stood up for something.
Okay.
And he tagged Nakul and he said, your wife looks like a transgender. So he thought that's an insult and I'm going to feel bad or whatever. So all these YouTube channels started posting like, is Nakul's wife a transgender?
What?
So you see the clickbait. So obviously they're going to check the video and all of that. But what is the truth in this? It was because somebody put a comment like this and Nakul replied to that person, in a very appropriate, way, telling him, you're just like this, that and all. But the problem here is how media makes the clickbait because they want to make money out of it. Understand that they are making money out of it. They are putting somebody else's life down, giving you half information, which is not true because they want to make money.
Yeah.
So be very, very careful of the pages that you follow, who you follow. Are they authentic? Are they authentic news channels? Because how many of them do fact checks? How many of them take the time to do it? They are just taking some information and just posting it and just giving it out there. Sometimes it's okay to unfollow news channels. In between, for a very long time, I stopped watching news itself because as a postpartum mother, it was extremely traumatic for me.
Right.
A lot of them even asked me, why aren't you talking about these things? I'm like, what is the use? What is the use of me just talking about it? What can I do to change it? Absolutely nothing I can do to change it.
Right.
So my point here is, don't just believe every single thing. Go do reading, in-depth reading into it, and then conclude. If you don't want to know information about it, you just read a headline. Don't judge that person. It's come to a way that they can take one clip from here, one clip from another thing, and make it like, they've said this with that, and just create content out of it.
Yeah.
With AI coming in,
Yeah.
it's very scary. So don't be a keyboard warrior. Understand what they're saying.
Right.
Read the captions, because so many times I will even say, hey, this thing you can buy here with the link, and then there'll be 10 people messaging me saying, hey, can you send me the link?
Yeah.
I am truly like, what is going on in your mind? What do you think? And the way that a lot of youngsters, I feel you have a lot of potential. You're exposed to so many things that we weren't even aware of or weren't exposed of. Make use of it and have good manners. They won't even say, hi, how are you? Can you tell me this, please? Please, thank you hasn't been a part of their vocabulary. Be
Courteous.
courteous. What is wrong in that? Or just pee. What is this? One
Collab, please.
yeah, collab, please. Like, tell me in detail.
Yeah.
I would love to do it. But if you're going to give me a vibe that this is how you are, I won't want to collaborate
Right.
with such a person or
Yeah.
talk to such a person, right? So these are some things.
These are some things. Yeah. Yeah. True. Agree to everything. Because I also never really fully understood until I was also subjected to similar stuff. Yeah, I thought it was a celebrity movie sort of thing, but then it can happen to anybody. Yeah,
And the
true.
post that came that said that வீட்லயே கொடுத்துட்டாங்க bathtubல வழுக்கி விழுந்து கொடுத்துட்டாங்க. They've taken a screenshot of my post where I've tagged the place on top saying Sanctum Natural Birth Center. They put it with that, and then they said,
Then they're writing about
yeah. So it's like you don't even see the picture properly. You don't analyze it. People have stopped asking questions.
Yeah.
Ask questions. Ask why this is happening. Your logical and and the reasoning is gone out of the
Yeah. See, it's a vicious cycle, You give short content, clickbait content, and make people's attention span less. And because of the less attention span, they again go for short content.
Correct.
So it's that cycle that's going on.
Yeah, sorry, stop doom scrolling. I'm not saying I've never done it. I do sometimes do it. And then I snap back saying, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
That time and energy boundaries should be there. We should know when to stop.
So these things, I would say, don't just go for short content.
Yeah.
If you really want to grow as a person, as an individual, as a society, we should all be open to seeing more of the content. If they said something controversial, go inside and see what did they actually mean. Why did they say that?
I mean, listen to the story from the person instead of from other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just be mindful and read.
Yeah.
The reading இதுவே போயிடுச்சு.
Yeah.
எல்லாரும் மியூட்ல வச்சு வெறும் captions and the subtitles, not even captions, subtitles மட்டும் பார்த்து for the 30 seconds or 1 minute, and they just like go about like, this person, what they said.
Yeah.
Don't be that person.
Thank you, Shruti. So that was a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing so many vulnerable aspects of your life. Like I tell you every single time, it's not every day that we get to see, people in the limelight sharing such information about their life. Of course, there is a lot of unnecessary, unwanted personal information, out there everywhere. But such information is also very, very important. And I think it can help people take better decisions in their life. And I'm really proud of you and Nakul for taking such autonomous decisions and living life your way. Yeah.
Swati, I have to thank you because I've told you this multiple times. Nakul has told you this
Yeah,
multiple
yeah.
times. You know, something in me that I knew was there, but I didn't know to define it or how to get it out. Only after seeing you, attending your classes, seeing you talk about many things that we didn't even know of, is what brought all these changes and courage inside of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I
Very grateful.
mean it. It is something that has shaped me up as an adult, as a mother, as a woman today. And thanks to you and all that you do. And I'm so glad that it was my first podcast today that I'm ever doing this with
First
you.
podcast. Huh?
Yeah, ever.
Ah,
And it's with you.
nice. Thank you. Thank you so much, girl. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm sure you loved the conversation. A lot of intimate information discussed. Please take it in the right sense. Um, and don't take it as a trigger, like, oh, what is she talking about? No, take it in the right sense. Please listen to the whole thing, first of all. And if
If
something
it triggers you, then you should know why.
yeah. I mean, ask yourself why is it triggering you? And she's always there to, answer things in our DM. She's very active. So please ask your questions directly. Always listen to a story from the person's mouth, not from somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks you, Shruti. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, thank you all. Sending you love and hugs. Okay. Bye.